The story of the Titanic has been told countless times: a grand ship, a tragic collision, an unsinkable legend lost to the icy depths of the Atlantic. But beneath the familiar tale of heroism and heartbreak lies a darker, more complicated truth. What if the disaster wasn't just a twist of fate, but the result of arrogance, negligence, and hidden decisions that sealed the fate of over 1,500 souls? On the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic sliced through calm waters under a sky full of stars. The air was freezing, the ocean nearly still, perfect conditions for icebergs to drift unseen. The ship's wireless operators had received multiple warnings that day, messages from other vessels about ice fields ahead. Yet the Titanic steamed forward at nearly full speed. Some say the captain, Edward Smith, was under pressure to maintain the ship's schedule, even if it meant ignoring danger. Others believe the White Star Line's confidence in their unsinkable ship made them reckless. Whatever the reason, the warnings were not taken seriously enough. Then came the fatal moment. Lookout Frederick Fleet spotted the iceberg, a massive wall of ice looming in the darkness. He rang the alarm, and the crew desperately tried to steer the ship away. But it was too late. A jagged edge scraped along the Titanic's starboard side, tearing open multiple compartments. The damage was catastrophic. If the ship had hit the iceberg head-on, it might have survived with only one or two flooded sections. But the decision to turn caused a long, deadly gash, a mistake that doomed the ship. As the freezing Atlantic poured in, panic set in. The crew scrambled to launch lifeboats, but there weren't nearly enough. The Titanic had been designed to carry 64 lifeboats, enough for every passenger and crew member. But the ship's owners thought the decks would look cluttered, so they reduced the number to just 20, enough for barely half the people on board. The result was chaos. Women and children were supposed to be saved first, but the rules were ignored in the madness. First-class passengers were given priority, while many in steerage or left trapped below decks, their escape routes blocked. Meanwhile, just a few miles away, another ship sat motionless in the water, the Californian. Its crew had seen the Titanic's distress flares lighting up the night sky. But instead of rushing to help, they did nothing. The Californian's wireless operator had gone to bed, missing the Titanic's desperate SOS calls. The captain later claimed he thought the flares were just fireworks, a strange celebration. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. If the Californian hadn't acted, hundreds more might have lived. As the Titanic tilted into the ocean, the horror grew worse. The ship's stern rose into the air, lights flickering before the power failed. Passengers clung to railings, slid across decks, and plunged into the black water. The temperature was far below freezing. Death by hypothermia came within minutes. Only a handful of lifeboats returned to pull survivors from the water. Most were left to drown or freeze in the darkness. When the Carpathia arrived hours later, it found a scene of devastation. The survivors, mostly women and children from first class, were rescued, but over 2/3 of the passengers and crew had perished. The world was shocked. How could such a disaster happen to a ship deemed unsinkable? In the aftermath, the White Star Line worked hard to control the story. They downplayed their mistakes, blaming the iceberg and bad luck. Survivors were pressured to stay quiet, and some even received payouts to keep them from speaking out. The official inquiries, one in America, another in Britain, were filled with contradictions. Key witnesses gave confusing testimonies, and evidence seemed to disappear. For decades, the Titanic's wreck lay undiscovered, its secrets locked in the deep. When explorers finally found it in 1985, the ship was broken and rusted, but new clues emerged. The steel plates were brittle from cold, making them shatter more easily. The rivets were poorly made, popping loose under pressure. Even the coal fire that had burned in one of the ship's bunkers before departure might have weakened the hull. The more we learned, the clearer it became the Titanic was not just a victim of nature, but of human error. So what really caused the disaster? Was it the arrogance of believing the ship was unsinkable? The greed of pushing for speed over safety? The negligence of ignoring iceberg warnings? Or the cruel class divisions that left so many to die while the wealthy escaped? The truth is, it was all of these things. The Titanic's sinking was not just an accident, it was a perfect storm of pride, poor judgment, and preventable mistakes. Even now, more than a century later, the story fascinates us. It's a reminder of how easily confidence can turn into tragedy, how quickly human error can lead to catastrophe. The Titanic was more than a ship, it was a symbol of an era, a lesson in humility, and a warning that no matter how advanced we think we are, nature and fate always have the final say. The next time you hear about the Titanic, remember the real story isn't just about an iceberg. It's about the choices people made, the lives that were lost, and the truths that still lie beneath the waves.
Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and appreciate the effort behind it, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Oh, and one more thing, share this video with your friends. Spread the love and support. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Let me know if you want any tweaks.